Meet Me at the Crossroads, a video journal about the ideas and methods of cultural activists. This is episode number 1, The World as It Could Be, a human rights education program. Hi, I'm Matt Schwarzman, an educator and theater artist based in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm co-author of Beginner's Guide to Community-Based Arts, 10 graphic stories about cultural activists from across the United States. This video journal gives me the opportunity to revisit some of the same ideas and methods from the Beginner's Guide, seen through the eyes of a new generation of cultural activists. In the process, I get to expand my knowledge of the field and deepen my understanding of the basics. Okay, let's go. The World as It Could Be is the brainchild of Sandy Socott, a community organizer in San Francisco and passionate believer in the power of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. As you will learn, this amazing international agreement is required reading in all U.S. high schools, yet the vast majority of us don't even know it exists, and Sandy is on a mission to change that. So she, along with 3 amazing Bay Area youth arts programs at the San Francisco Mime Troupe, the Destiny Youth Arts Performance Company, and Youth Speaks, together with Ellen Sebastian Chang, an equally amazing playwright, director, and I'm proud to say, former collaborator of mine, they came up with an idea that was so perfect it almost accidentally grew into this entire program and curriculum. Today, it's used by dozens of schools and organizations throughout the Bay Area and beyond through their website. The genius of their curriculum is its simplicity. It breaks down really into 3 main elements. First, an introduction to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights through readings, films, and arts-based discussions. Then, the planning, rehearsing, and producing of a town hall by the young people based upon one of the universal human rights. This is followed closely by community activism and community engagement inspired by the town hall. It's really grassroots DIY cultural activism at its best. So whether you're a student or a teacher, an artist or an administrator, working with young people online or face-to-face, there's going to be something in here for you. Here's my interview with the good people of the world as it could be. So Sandy, maybe you're the first person I talked to. Maybe you could kind of just introduce your colleagues and tell us about the world as it could be.
I started the World as It Could Be program in 2006 while I was running the Rex Foundation that was started by the Grateful Dead. And I was doing it to raise awareness about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I wanted to have the arts be an integral part of that.
Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a document that was adopted by the UN General Assembly on December 10th, 1948. Eleanor Roosevelt was charged with an initiative to create a framework that all the member organizations would agree to so that if upheld, it would create a different world that would be open to peace, peaceful problem solving, freedom for all people, and a vibrant, healthy community.
We've had this long-standing connection with Arroyo High School, where I think since 2009, there has been an annual town halls that are usually held in December, where young people are getting the chance to express their ideas about what the Universal Declaration means to them and what they want their peers and teachers and community representatives to know about it.
When Nia Wilson can't even make it home safe from BART, or countless transgender women being killed for being who they are, being told to shut up and sit down when the grown-ups speak. Politics, you're only 16, you don't know a damn thing. I may be young and not know everything, but the news I wake up to is sickening, and common sense tells me that this isn't right. You see, normality isn't always good. The daily tragic news that leaves me unsurprised because, hey, it's normal. That's our usual. When we don't speak up, we let things remain the same. We get used to this routine. We don't help in any kind of way. Repetition inflicts the deepest of pain, when beneath the surface, I know we all have the power to create change, and you'd be lying to yourself if you said that you didn't. Don't let this be our normal. This cannot be our normal. Thank you.
So who's with you?
So who is with me? Well, Kay Zimmerman is with me, and she has been the lead teacher in her developmental psychology for adolescents class. We call it DPA, I believe.
Right. Yep.
Where her juniors, every year, Kay leads her class into basically using our curriculum. Kay was in one of our first 3-day trainings on the curriculum, I think back in 2011. And so has been an inspiration to me, and I think to her students,
Yes, very
as
much.
to how she even reflects her own care about the importance of understanding human rights and the UDHR. And so she has been guiding this process since that time. And Evelyn, I have the pleasure of getting to meet last year because she was involved in last year's town hall. I feel very grateful to have
Same
this
here.
connection.
Yeah. But it's really awesome because in the developmental psychology class, the students are learning. We start with, the fundamentals. We learn about Freud and Erickson, and we really start from the beginning of psychology. But then we get into what it means to be an adolescent as well, like specifically the teenage brain and what issues come up for people at this stage of life, because this is what age they are right now, where we really bring together that sense of self-awareness, and then what is my role? Who am I? And then what is my role within the community I live in, and then the community at large, the bigger community. And that's what the UDHR helps kids think about.
Great. Kay, how does art factor in? I've seen a little bit of your documentation, and one of the great things about it for me is that you've infused the arts kind of all along the way, not just at the beginning, not just at the end, but all along the way. Can you talk about that?
What we do is we have different, when we learn about the UDHR, and this is part of my training, the idea that we look at art that represents different messages of social justice as an into activity to preparing for creating this performance that they create. And then after they finish their performance and we're all celebrating and it's like a relief, we did this amazing thing, then we go to an art museum and we actually look at visual art as a form of expressing a point of view and a stance. And then the kids have an assignment when this is all right before winter break, and then we come back and then they get into an assignment where they have to create a piece of visual art that represents one of the articles from the Declaration of Human Rights that they feel resonates the most for them. And they have to address, a current event, some kind of current issue through the art that they think is really important to address. And so many of my students are so talented in so many different ways.
We have a dancer, we have a painter,
we have a singer, we have singers.
all kinds of things.
I really wanted to tap into their own creativity because I do think that creativity is essential in self-awareness. What is my own creativity? How am I creative? I think it starts with individual, so that we can understand who am I and then how do I fit in? That fitting in or being a part of something bigger than yourself is a really important part of the process.
And at first I was just like, whenever someone asked me how was DPA, I'm like, oh, DPA was a fun class. But then when I actually sit back and think about all the things I learned about myself and like how being okay with being who I am, like as a teenager, and like accepting that I'm growing and learning, accepting that I have a role in my community and therefore like I need to help others and kind of spread what I know. Like I've been able to teach so many other people. Like I taught my cousin a breathing technique. And like just learning how to breathe for myself and it just helping others about social justice. Like I would tell my parents about the things I did, and no matter like anyone else's political opinion, they would just praise me for being that person in my community and in Ms. Z's class for actually representing social justice, like in the town hall or in like art that we make in class. So it's been like, it's probably been the most impactful class I've taken, like the most important class I've taken.
Great. Evelyn, could you tell us about the work of art that that we'll be seeing and what it means to you?
Well, I am part of the LGBTQ community. That's recently what I found out about myself in these past 4 years of high school. And I identify as bisexual. So with that, I've drawn more, I've just gotten really close to other people in the community and more awareness from it and just learning about it. And obviously, even if I wasn't, I still have a genuine care about it. And so when Ms. D said to focus on a certain issue, there were all kinds of issues I could have focused on. But one thing that just kept reoccurring on my phone in the news were transgender murders and homicides. And so I really wanted to focus on the death of transgender people. And then what I realized when reading all these articles online was that it had to have been 70% of them were African American. So then I really wanted to zone in on that one specific piece, which is African American transgender murders and homicides. And so what I did was I painted an African American person who is either, you can see it both ways, either transitioning from male to female or vice versa. And then I wrote the word beautiful at the bottom in white just to represent, their lives matter. It's beautiful to be who you are. And so I really wanted to highlight that. And in the back, I also put the flag, but it's it comes off as really simple, but if I explain it and I give off the details, because we also had to write up facts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also had to have a fact sheet with us, and all the numbers I gave the class, of how many transgender African American people have been killed in the past year or even 5 years is just an immense number. And so I just really, when I learned that, I was I have to make something big. Usually for art projects, I'm not that big into making art for school assignments. I find it oh, I have to do this. But for this one, I don't know why. Right after you told us to do this assignment, I rushed to Michael's. I bought the biggest poster I could, and I knew exactly how important I wanted to make this. So I've never cared more about a school assignment than this, because I was really eager to tell my classmates about this issue, because I felt no one knew that day upon days transgender African American people are getting killed. So I was this is an important issue. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. So how is it to you, Evelyn, how is it different to express those insights through visual art as opposed to writing a paper about it?
This is really easy, because art, because it's three things in this world that connect people, universal languages. It's music, art, and food. That's what I think. So with art, it's anyone can see art and be drawn to it, or just be what the heck is that? And they'll go to it, they'll look at it, they'll inspect it. And then once they actually get to learn what it's about, they'll have more genuine interest in it too. So when someone sees my painting, they're oh, that's nice painting, it's nice detail, whatever. But then they can also learn from it, if they read the caption or if someone explains to them what it means. So art honestly just brings people together naturally. And then what comes from it is, okay, but do you know the meaning behind it? And then that can really draw more connection between people.
When you perform something, creatively in this way, kids really pay attention and they get very moved. We often have tears in the audience. There are usually pieces in the show that involve personal stories where rights have been violated. Sometimes there are skits, sometimes there are musical performances, dance performances. Those kinds of things all get the students' attention. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very powerful way to get the message of my students across. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Sandy, I'm going to be commanding people who watch this video to check out your website. What will they find there?
They will find a number of different elements. We have, of course, our curriculum. We have various aspects of our curriculum. We have what we call our work in use. So we have examples of how other teachers have taken what they've learned and put it into practice, so they can see different examples. We have a rite of passage program, so we have all of that documented. We have a visual, our video library, where we have videos of just about every production that is put on from the youth presentations from 2006 all the way to the present. So we want those to be educational tools themselves, so that other students can see their peers presenting ideas. We have a whole thing about how to take community action, how to use the UDHR to bring people together and have a conversation around your dining room table to think about what's of concern to you. We even have a list of agreements you can make with each other so that you can have a constructive conversation. So we're trying to provide a lot of tools for how to see the UDHR as a tool for conversation in a connecting way, as well as for taking personal action, collectively and individually.
Thanks to Sandy Sokot, Kay Zimmerman, and Evelyn Engen for interviewing with me. My next episode, I'll be continuing with The World as It Could Be with an in-depth interview with Sandy and co-founder Ellen Sebastian Chang about the world as it could be as a form of rites of passage. We'll get into a little bit more about the social emotional learning aspect and how the program works in the community as well as in the schools. Thanks.